Hey friends, I'm just at the tail end of my Uber shift here. I've got like 5 minutes left on the clock. I don't think I'll get any calls, so I'm going to go ahead and make this video in the meantime. It's been a while since I've posted, and just wanted to catch you up. I've been in a certain space for the last month and a half or two. Let me give you some background. Ever since I moved to Canada, one of my big challenges that I had when I first moved here was I struggled to make friends. I struggled to find community, just because moving to this country before the internet, when the world seemed so distant and so spread apart, I don't know, it took some time for me to understand how to connect in this culture. And I remember those years when I couldn't connect and find friends. I remember so vividly how isolated and lonely I felt. I remember whenever I talk about this season of my life, I do get a bit emotional. So I like making space for emotions. And so if you see me getting emotional, please don't feel awkward about it. I like normalizing, expressing emotions. But remembering this season when I once felt like I was on the outside looking in was really challenging. I've never forgotten that feeling, because at some point along the way I learned how to connect. I learned how to engage and interact and find friendships and to fit in socially. Some point along the way I learned how that could work, and I'm so grateful that I did. In essence, I think that became one of my superpowers. One of my superpowers in making friendships. I've heard that so many in this cultural context find it difficult to make friendships in their adult years, and I don't feel that for myself, because I make friends so easily, and I'm so grateful that I do. I mention all this because one of the things I've kept very close as an ideal is that because I have the skill now to connect with those that I'm in community with, because I have the ability to form deep, meaningful connections and friendships, I've made a promise to myself that I'm always going to be on the lookout in whichever setting I am for those who are on the periphery, and I'm going to try and make space for them to come and be a part of that social connections, the social connections that I'm part of. I'd want to make a space for those who are where I once was at, on the outside looking in. And in my time online here, I've been going through a season where, I've loved sharing my experiences as an Uber driver with all y'all. I think one of the real reasons why you really enjoyed what you saw me doing with those who got to ride with me is because there's this tangible, beautiful expression of human connection that happens as I interact with them. And I think that's what really inspired and encouraged so many of you to follow my work in the first place. From there, I have considered really carefully if I could bring attention to something that I find really important, what would that be? And for me, that's on the theme of integrity that I wanted to extend, especially to young men, because again, I have experience going through many years in my adolescent period as a teenager and into my 20s and 30s, just desperately wishing that there was some amazing male role models that I could follow or emulate or learn from, of what it looks like to walk with integrity. And because I couldn't find them, I made some devastating decisions and choices in my life that I've outlined in my life story that you can find on my channel when I share a lot of the hard lessons I've had to learn. But in the midst of all those things, especially in the last 8-9 years, I've come to understand and experience what this idea of integrity looks like, and how we can experience and walk in it. And that's a really important one for me now. That helps keep my life manageable, that helps keep the lines clear and the connections that I'm making socially, that helps me know what my values are and my sense of worth, and so many beautiful things. And this space that I'm in right now is such a magnificent space, because for the first time in decades, the way I feel and believe on the inside, I'm able to live in alignment with externally with my actions, where once upon a time they were totally different. I mention all this, dear friends, because I want to share with you where I'm going to be pivoting in, especially in my online content. Again, because I've had such a keen interest in looking for those who are on the outside looking in socially in society, and because I have this purpose that I want to extend the conversation of what living with integrity looks like specifically to young men. I've been taking a deep dive into a certain segment of our society that is struggling in these two specific areas in a great way. So my focus is shifting now, where I want to continue speaking to young men specifically, but young men who are trying to figure out what living with integrity looks like, what it means to be a man of character, while also addressing some of the significant challenges that they're going through in their personal life, and that those challenges that I'm referencing are in the way that they connect socially. And I'm wanting to reach young men who are struggling socially and trying to figure out what does it mean to live with integrity. There's an actual name that has been evolving over the last period of time in reference to these young men that I want to reach. And in general terms, I think they call it the manosphere. The manosphere is like the general umbrella term for a whole bunch of ideologies and ideas that young men are finding compelling today, and they're trying to live according to those ideas. But the outcome is actually quite detrimental. It's really damaging. It's really destructive, and the consequences are really dire, including many men who are committing unaliving themselves, to use the vernacular that we're agreeing to here on the online social spaces. And also many of them are expressing their frustration and anger in devastating ways in their community. And so I want to reach specifically to this group. So amongst this group that has the general banner of manosphere, I'm thinking of pickup artists. I want to address them and their ideologies and challenge them. I'm thinking about men going their own way group, which is just wanting nothing to do at all with women. But I'm going to be starting off this foray in the realm of addressing my content and my focus on the incel community. And the incels, the word incel basically is an amalgamation of two words, involuntary celibacy, and it's basically referencing young men, or actually men in general, who are frustrated because they can't connect romantically or sexually with women, even though they desire to do so. And as a result, they are expressing their frustration in online communities, and that frustration, from my observation, translates eventually to anger, and that anger gets directed specifically at women in general across the board. And also, to a certain degree, it gets extended to what they call chads, or the men who do get all these women or access to these women. And so this is a zone that I'm walking into, and the more I learn about this community, the more I feel with them. I feel that sense of wanting to have these experiences socially. And let me say, like, the things that drive these men to frustration and anger, they're legitimate. These are legitimate experiences where they want to experience what it's like to feel a part of something. They want to feel loved. They want to feel that they matter. They want to feel like they're worth someone's while. These are beautiful things, and the fact that they're not experiencing them, I think we should be talking about that. So I want to speak to this group of young men, and I also want to speak to you guys who are not part of this community to help you understand and grow in empathy towards this group. And so that's where I'm shifting my focus to. I hope you'll follow along, because there's more content on that coming soon. Thanks for listening so far. Chat soon.